Okay, could you tell me who you are and where you're from?
Okay. Meena Raman from Malaysia, Friends of the Earth Malaysia, and currently the chair of Friends of the Earth International.
And can you say a bit about why you're here and what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm in here in Bali because I think at this particular moment in time, the world is putting a spotlight on climate change as a major issue. For Friends of the Earth Malaysia and many of the Friends of the Earth groups from the South in Friends of the Earth International, many of us have been working on issues in a big way in relation to the climate and to the planet as a whole. And we combine the indigenous people struggles with the protection of the forest. We fight against oil and gas flaring and mining activities and the fishery resources and how they are being degraded and destroyed by wrong kinds of development, and also being in the new climate science that we understand it. That's also going to be an immense problem of the oceans being, having warming, as a result of which the fish resources are also so the climate is really very connected to the kind of work we do at the grassroots level. And I'm here in Bali to actually make the linkages, make the alliances, make climate become, like as you see here, the climate justice, linking the social justice, the equity, the trade justice movement to the climate justice movement. It's not just about the environment and the protection of the polar bears. They're just as important. But I think a large missing dimension is how the climate justice movement is actually making the link to the debt, the wrong kind of trade policies, the wrong kind of financial policies, the whole macroeconomic globalization, the economic globalization of that's happening, and we are bringing in that huge dimension.
So you clearly see the whole issue of climate change and also some of the proposed so-called solutions to it as being very linked up with much broader struggles around corporate globalization.
Absolutely. In fact, I don't see any difference, because if you look at the way the negotiations are going, while there's a lot of emphasis on the need to understand and appreciate the fact that global greenhouse gases are, the concentration levels are rising, and that there is an urgency to address that, as they call the need to keep the temperature from rising well below 2 degrees centigrade, and the need to bring down the global greenhouse gases. However, I do think that all that, I mean, we see that the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere as a symptom of a larger problem, which is the wrong kind of development model, which has been the unsustainable consumption and production systems, which is dependent on the fossil fuel economy. And I think we are looking at it at a much more fundamental level, even the lifestyle issue, how people cannot continue to consume and behave as if this planet can continue to take it. And we have been arguing how the rich elite of the world, 20% of the world consuming 80% of the world's resources, this inequity and at the level which reflects the inequity of the development and the crisis that is happening in the environment is the flip side of the same coin. So until and unless we address the root causes, which are embedded in the kind of neoliberal policies and the kind of wrong development models which are being prescribed, we will not be able to see a change. For instance, I give you an example of the whole agrofuels issue. I mean, suddenly there's a new consciousness that we need to switch from fossil fuels. So now you have a big boom in promoting agrofuels. Now and then this again, to meet the kind of scale of the substitution that is necessary in the north to sustain a lifestyle which is already over consumption, by putting the stress on the south again in terms of supplying the corn, which has basic food, palm oil even, which is also in a lot of the food products, to meet the car consumption, food for people versus gas for cars. I mean, it's just incongruous. So until and unless we understand the root causes, we are going to come up with solutions which are not the real fundamental solutions that we need need to take.
And so if you had a message for campaigners in the UK who are interested in climate change, want to do something, what would you say to them?
I think one of the biggest lessons that I have learned in the last few months of being involved in the campaign is that there is a heightened awareness as to the need of the urgency of the climate crisis. But there isn't the same understanding about the trade issues, about the debt issues, about the macroeconomic issues, and the incoherence is pretty jarring. For instance, the idea being that it's important to get a deal here in Bali, which is pragmatic, meaning that anything to get the deal, instead of looking at whether the means to get the deal is actually just, whether the developing world is being asked to commit in the right way or the wrong way. And I think the way I would characterize this is that this is actually a fear of a new kind of eco-imperialism that is at stake actually.
Thanks very much for your time, Meena, much appreciated.
You're welcome.